This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Morgan, editor of Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today, we're talking with Rob Phillips, President and CEO, Jim Epler, General Manager, and Jessica Smith, Director of Business Intelligence and Analytics, all with Phillips Connect. Everybody, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to jump into a conversation on trailer telematics, a really evolving landscape. It's moving quickly. Phillips Connect has kind of evolved into a big player here in this space. Lots of announcements here in the past couple months. So to kick us off, I just wanted to get a general lay of the trailer telematics land right now. So Rob, if you could kick us off here, what percentage of the market, in your view, is employing trailer telematics? And do fleets have a good understanding of where they can see the ROI in these systems?
It's a great question. There's roughly 1 in 4, so 25% of trailers currently have GPS, some kind of telematics. But I think the direction that we're really going with things, Jason, is going towards smart trailer, really bringing in a lot of sensors, a lot of technology to make a big impact on fleets and their ROI. And so if we look at from that perspective, it's a very small amount of trailers that are just starting to evolve their smart trailer strategy right now. So most of the sensors that are out there, if there are sensors, they're very binary. Things like door, cargo sensor. Is the door open, closed? Is cargo sensor, is it empty or is it loaded? So it's there's not enough yet, which is why we're here.
Yeah, and fleets in general have a very good understanding of how to leverage location and cargo status into actual ROI. But when you start getting into these smart sensors, the fleets are often not aware of how their components are behaving. And during pilots, they're very surprised to find out a large percentage of their fleet, like their tires, ABS fault codes, things like that, are not operating at optimal levels. So we really like to focus on looking at ROA from every sensor level. So we'll look at tires exclusively on how it's impacting their CSA violations, their fuel efficiency, driver downtime. And at the end of the day, our focus is to get their drivers rolling and not frustrated backing up to a trailer that needs repairs.
For sure. Jim, any thoughts there? Anything to add on?
Yeah, it's always been, where's my trailer, and detention and those kind of things, and now with all of the sensors that we're putting on these trailers, it's really been eye-opening, and it has been for us as well. And we do deep dives into the analytics as you start understanding what's going on with tire inflation and tire pressures and ABS fault codes and DPC, and so we're creating a fantastic ROI. But until you're able to really log all of the data, it was really difficult in the past to create, and say what the ROI is going to be on each sensor. And we're very honest about our evaluation, when we partner with somebody and we start collecting the data. Is it worth it or is it not worth it? And, we give that feedback to our fleets.
For sure. And I want to get into that data collection. I want to step back for a minute just so I understand too. So the difference in kind of what we're talking about here of trailer telematics versus what you're calling smart trailers. How do you define that? Where's the cutoff between the two, and what makes a trailer smart in what we're talking about here?
Yeah, good question. I think, for me, there's a lot of, companies out there that say they have smart trailer technology. And so what does that mean? It doesn't mean I just know where my trailer is. I'm talking about really the health of my trailer, and we go very deep into that as well, and to be able to pre-check the health of the trailer. So, there's different applications, for the data. But when I talk about smart trailers, it's virtually everything on the trailer. And then there's roadmap items that customers who we're talking to want to get to. So, it's going to continue to evolve over the years, I think. And I think we're in a really good position to capture a lot of that data. And then for our customers, we're going to let them know what's got value and what doesn't.
Very good. And I mean, Jessica, I think you had even mentioned the ABS fault codes, and then Jim, the trailer health thing. We see that on the tractor side now, right? So pulling that kind of mentality over the trailer is definitely really beneficial. But this is also kind of still early days, I feel like, even compared to the tractor, right? I know that Phillips Connect is very pro open platform. You're mentioning a lot of the sensors from components that you have to work with all the different trailer component suppliers out there. How is that conversation evolving, and are OEMs and suppliers able to integrate on the trailer telematics side?
Yeah, no, it's evolving a lot, Jason. To start out, we didn't come from the telematics business. We came from a 90-year-old Phillips Industries, which was a hardware company, but we were in a unique position. We supplied, 100% of the trucks have our parts off the line. Close to 2/3 of the trailers have our parts off the line. We've got a big aftermarket business. So we brought our fleet council in and said, we're looking at, how do we stay relevant? This is back in 2014. And the big problem back then was, well, there's all these great companies who are building sensors, but none of those sensors talk together. So we're not going to put anything on, because if I do, it's a slippery slope. I'm going to have 8 or 10 different communication devices, nailed to the front of my trailer, and nobody wants that. Fleets don't want to have $5 here and $10 for this and $12. They can't handle that kind of thing. They came to us and do something, and we started out by, if you recall, back in 2016, 2017, we showed up at TMC with our first concepts. And all of those sensors we were manufacturing. We had plans to do it. And the fleets came back and said, you're out of your mind, Phillips. No one's going to buy an ABS sensor from Phillips. That's not your business. Or they're not going to buy it on the wheel end side. So we learned pretty quickly that we had to partner. We had a lot of relationships from within the industry, from most of the suppliers. And so that the path forward for us to work with suppliers, not to go in and try and develop these ourselves, start out by working with suppliers that have a product already, and work with them to integrate it into our system. So we can take all kinds of communication protocols from Bluetooth to RF to CAN bus, RS-232, 45. We can bring all these different languages into our system. And that's really part of the secret sauce of what we're doing here, Jason. But that's just bringing it in. Then it becomes, how do we display it all the right way? Because fleets don't want to have a tractor system which is already on the dash and a separate trailer system. They want to be able to look at the entire trailer or truck trailer as a single unit. That's really critical for them. And so that's what we're doing. We're bringing all these systems, and we're now looking at the truck and the trailer as a complete system in a lot of cases. That's the direction that we're heading right now. So we are working with a lot of different suppliers. Close to 20 suppliers have signed up with us so far, and it's really been I'm without a doubt it's the right approach.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to add is integrating, is sometimes difficult, and like Rob said, all the different protocols, and we kind of talked about this before. Standardizing that might make things a lot easier for us as a central platform. But I will, one thing, if you just look at one component, if I could connect to the ABS controller and get CAN data and be able to transmit that CAN, all of the data from the ABS system, that's a good example of what we should be doing, and working with the manufacturers and understanding roll stability and fault codes and all those things. That just makes tremendous sense. There's other sensors, however, that we've been doing this a long time, and then we look at what's out there, and then we look at some of the solutions out there, and generally we do requirement documents and discussions with all of our big customers, and they tell us what they want, we pilot, and at the end, if we can use the component manufacturer's product that's out there, that's our preferred method to do it. But if not, we will develop our own sensors, and we do that quite a bit, actually.
I was just going to say that the relationships with the fleets are really important for us, and we've got a lot of old relationships, but we listen really well. I also think that we're not private equity backed, we're not VC backed. There is not a lot of red tape at our company. We really take a lot of time to listen to our customers. When they describe what they need, we share it with other fleets. If we find that this is something that makes a lot of sense, we go after it. And we really are known for developing great products really quickly, and that's one of the things that I think differentiates us a lot. But being able to listen is really critical, and I think that's something we do a very good job at.
Right. We've talked about integration here, and from the fleet point of view, and I was excited to talk to you all too. And this is my own personal view. I think on the tractor side for telematics, getting people to that integration table is getting more difficult in some respects. Lots of great solutions out there, but there is some circling of the wagons going on in the data tractor side right now. The trailer side, I feel, is a little more open. It's a little undecided, and fleets having the powerful voice that they have as customers, they need to know what to ask for, what to look for in a solution so that they can get what they need and not have another dozen dashboards to have to look at over all their trailers and all their tractors, right? So can you give some advice for fleets that are out there listening? What should they look for in a dashboard? What are some of the things that they should be asking that maybe even might be on the technical side that they might not understand, but can interpret the answer as being open to working with people?
If I can, I want to answer this in two ways, and then Jessica is really going to take it from there. What we're talking about when we're just displaying basic data, is one thing, but then how you interpret that data is where the real value is, and that's what our platform is really good at. And then what I want to do past that is the true connected vehicle, meaning a lot of that data needs to be available to the drivers. And if you're who you're talking with, on your in-cab, we don't have a good relationship with, I think that, that's something that I would be looking for, because when you start talking about immediate notifications for a tire event or a wheel end event or an ABS fault code, you want the driver to have the immediate notification for that. So we're talking to those providers and saying, we need to start making sure we have an API and a direct feed, either local or through the cloud, for some of this data. But when it comes to the analytics, this is where Jessica and her, over 20 years experience in the business can really help take the data that we have and be able to display it, in a logical way.
Yeah, so one of the things that was really important to us starting out is that we had to be versatile down to a one asset owner to somebody that had tens of thousands of assets, and to be able to be scalable quickly on, if you have one asset, it's very easy to understand what's going on with it, get alerted. When you have tens of thousands of assets, you only want to be alerted when something is immediately actionable, so you can cut out the noise and make sure that you're focusing on things. Then we, underneath that layer, look at things holistically long-term. So they can look at and take a look at component manufacturers if certain assets behave differently over time that maybe need to come out of their fleet sooner or need additional repairs. And we use that using a very complicated and complex alert engine that can be really customizable through a query. So each sensor can have its own alert level. So you, like as tires, you can say, I want to be warned at this PSI, alerted and critical. And we do that for each sensor, and each sensor is obviously very different and has different inputs. While fleets might ingest that, they're all going to do it a little bit differently. They all manage their assets differently. So on top of that, we have a query builder where they can filter and analyze and make sure that things are being delivered to the right people at the right time. We're also very API friendly. And as Jim mentioned, it's not just bringing in the data, but it's actually understanding what are the flags that come up that we need to help them understand, okay, when this happens, this is what's happening to your tire. Or you have ADAS has been disengaged here. We can see that your tires are not inflated, and when it's moving around, they're not being given error. So we want to make sure that we're not just bringing in the data, but actually helping them manage it and take action on it.
Right. No, actionable bullet points are definitely a must, in communication for sure. And it goes back to fleets. They know their trailers. They know what problem they need to troubleshoot for and track, and then they can come to you and get those solutions, put them in place. I could talk about this all day. I really appreciate you all taking the time. This is fascinating. I'm sure I will get in touch with you again soon, and we will go over even more trailer telematics info.
Awesome, Jason. Thanks so much for having us today. Appreciate it.